Jill.
And I'm John.
And we're the Geezers on the Go.
Go, go, go.
This time we're at Edisto Beach State Park on the southern coast of South Carolina. It's grown since the last time we were here, but that was 30 years ago. But it still has a remote feel to it. It has 120 campsites divided into two very different campgrounds, the Live Oak Loop and the beach area. Let's just say Edisto has a bit of a split personality. There's the carefree Caribbean side of Edisto, and then there's the boneyard on a gray and blustery day. The two camping areas also differ drastically, with deep woods on one side and sand dunes on the other. Outside the park a little ways, there's a growing tourist town of Edisto Beach, with its relatively new hotels and restaurants. And on the northern end of Edisto Island is the Botany Bay Plantation and Boneyard, an unnatural-looking place created by natural erosion. And finally, we'll take you out to the Spanish Mounds, a prehistoric site built entirely of oyster shells. We're here at Edisto Beach State Park, South Carolina. It's along the coast, the more southern part of the coast of South Carolina. We're in Site 86 of the Live Oak Campground. There's two campgrounds here at Edisto Beach. There's the Live Oak, has lots of trees that you can see, a lot of live oaks, and then the other campground, the beach campground's about another mile down the road. We've stayed there once before, but we haven't stayed here at Edisto Beach in 30 years, and when we did, we were at the beach side, so this is a little new experience, and the place hasn't changed too much, a little more built up than it was before, but most of the sites in this Live Oak, you are just surrounded by trees. And you can notice we're missing our one propane tank. John went out to go fill the tank, and there's an Ace Hardware store not that far down the road that can fill up our tank, so that's good. So there's quite a few shops around, even though it's something like a 20-mile drawn from the main highway 17 down on 174 down to Edisto Beach. But as you can see here, lots of space, very secluded. Kitchen's out this morning because I did make breakfast. And you have the fire pit here, and you kind of got quite a bit of space in the back so you don't feel too cramped.
Hey, Jill's cooking a little bacon and eggs on the outdoor kitchen today. It's a little chilly out, but mainly she's doing it because if she does it inside, it keeps setting off our smoke alarm.
Especially when I can't open most of the windows because it's a little chilly this morning, or the door, and it just seems like, even with that, it goes, and it's like...
Yeah, which is almost as annoying as the noise Jill makes.
Oh, at least it's a nicer morning than yesterday. Yesterday was pouring rain, so I couldn't come out. But
and there's the bacon sizzling. If Jill will be quiet for a second, you can just listen to the bacon. Isn't that one of the greatest sounds of camping?
Our Site 86 is just about the last one on this particular part of the loop. This has 3 loops in it. And the exit is right down there. You might see a car or two go by there, so you're right closer. You hear a little bit of road noise, but not too bad. So, and when you go out here to the right, it's about a mile down to the beach. So, this Live Oak Loop has some pretty campsites that are on this side. This is just down a little bit from where we are at 86, and it backs up to the marsh out there. And I don't know how buggy it might get at different times of the year, but that's a couple of spaces there. Somebody just left this morning. But as you can see, kind of cool in here, lots of trees. And the road is dirt, so it's not paved. And some of the sites might be slightly difficult to get into. Like I thought this site is really pretty, and deep, but it's got this tree right in the middle. It's not so bad. It looks like you have enough space, but the road coming into it's a little narrow, so it's very doable, but you'd have to work on it a little bit to get back into that big space. Descending order down here from, this is 121, here comes some cars, and we got sites on this side. Like I said, some of these are nice, but it's a little tough getting into the trees. The ocean side's a lot more open, but that was a little more tough to get into. We weren't able to get reservations there, but we're happy with this side. This is 112. It's a nice deep spot, but the angle to go in here is backwards because you're supposed to be going down that road. But the angle is if you were coming from the other direction. So I don't know if you'd have to go around and get into that one, but not bad if you can get into it. This is actually, I guess you would call this the third loop because you can't come in this way. You have to go all the way around. But there's nice big sites here too, pretty deep, and again lots of trees, so you can get back pretty far. Like I said, that's 105. This one I think is 103. One of my favorites, 105. It's pretty deep and you got lots of trees. It's no laundry, so she's probably hanging up her clothes. And this one be easy to get into because there's a big space in the road to back into. These over here, the ones that start around 100, wouldn't be bad. Got lots of trees, but you are sort of backing up to the 174 highway, and you might hear some road noise, but not too bad. This is site 93. This wouldn't be a bad site. A little sunny, and again a little close to the road, but not bad. This is the middle loop, and you're sort of in between where we are. That's closer to the entrance, and so you have sites on both sides. Some of them are deep, like this one. You get quite a bit of space on that one. That's 81, but this one, I think on this row you seem to be a little closer to your neighbor and maybe not quite as much space, but there's only a couple on here. Most of the ones on this road are the hosts. I think there's 3 hosts on the road, but this is right down the road from that middle loop from us, and it's just a short walk down there to the bathroom.
Well, we got a pretty nice little campsite here. It's sort of tucked back into the woods, but one problem, as you can see, when it rains, all the water collects right out in front. And then Jill goes out and stomps around in the water and gets all wet like a little kid.
This is one of the, what they call rustic tent camping back here. This is, I think, site 127. And there's another person next to her, but not a bad little spot. Right here along the marsh. I'm not sure how buggy it might get in different times of the year. But there's one there if you go look through there. There's somebody camping over that way. Again, another one of the, I guess primitive area tent camping. And this person has a pretty nice setup. They have one little tent and a shelter right along the water. In addition to the camping here at Edisto Beach State Park, there are some cabins, and they look to sit out on the marsh out here. Lots of space around them, lots of pretty live oak trees and Spanish moss.
We're over at the beach campground now. This is where you can actually walk to the beach from this campground, although I imagine most people drive out there. but the ocean is just on the other side of all this vegetation here.
These sites are more into the trees. Most of the other sites are kind of open.
Yeah, when we get down further, when we get to the end of this loop and start coming back out again, you'll see there's a path down to the beach there. These are small sites on this side. They're not designed for big RVs, although there are a few on the other side here that you'll see when we start coming out. Now we're a little bit farther down on the beach loop now, and you can see that these sites are more open, a lot of palm trees, very tropical.
This is where we stayed some 30 years ago.
Yep.
That's how we were here.
The first time we ever camped here 30 years ago, we were out here somewhere.
This is sort of the inner loop of this beach campground, and this is where I think we stayed 30 years ago, because I can remember there was some grass. What I mostly remember is that we had some wet towels, put them out to dry overnight, and it was so damp, and the towels were as wet as they were when I put them out in the morning. And there's the beach right up there.
These spots back up into the marsh, and on the other side of this are wetlands. These are nice spots too. You can see the wetlands through there now.
Well, it's taken us almost 30 years to get back here at Edisto Beach. You think much has changed?
Well, trees are trees and ocean is ocean.
Yeah.
But everything else is different about this place. It's really grown up. It's got stores and restaurants and shops, and
Which wasn't here hardly anything when we were here some 30 years ago.
yeah, there wasn't anything 30 years ago, and that's when we first came to Edisto Beach. And it's taken us a long time to get back, and we're glad to be here.
Yeah, this is the first time we've been in the Live Oak campground. It's more woodsy, lots of trees, as compared to the oceanside or beachside campground, which is about a mile down the road, and it's a little more open.
Right, and but it's all part of Edisto State Park.
Right. So it's either place you can't go wrong. There's no full hookups here, so be prepared. And the dump station's across the street, so it's a little bit of a trek to do that. But
yeah, and some of the sites in the Live Oak section are sort of, I mean, they're slanted this way and this way and that way and this way.
And there's lots of trees, so it's some are a little bit tight, but a little bit of maneuvering, you shouldn't have too much of a problem.
Yeah, I've seen guys have a little bit of trouble and just pull out and go around the loop and come in from the wrong direction.
Right. But it is a kind of a remote place. It's at least 20 miles down Highway 174 off the main highway to get down here, but it's worth the trip. And there is a few things to go and see in the area, so it's just not the beach and the campground.
Yeah.
But obviously there's no sense going to Edisto without going to the beach.
Well, we're right by where the parking lot is to the beach, and if you came here, you could have a picnic. There's tables, and there's a little playground there. There you can see a little better the playground here. There's a bathhouse over there, and then over here, there's another little place. There's a little gift shop and stuff, and you can also rent, I think, some like chairs to go out on the beach with, if you're handicapped chairs. Well, it's a pretty day today at the beach. It's finally sunny. It rained the other day. Quite a few people sitting, although it's not super warm. It's about mid-60s, and there's somebody actually swimming. Well, somebody likes their father. Somebody wrote in the sand, "Daddy is the coolest." The beach campground here at Edisto Beach is right behind these bushes, trees and stuff. There's lots of walkways down out of the campground and down to the beach. So if you got a beachside campsite, that'd be pretty nice. Maybe next time we come we'll be able to get one. I had one 30 years ago, but not this time. I'm not sure what it is about the beach here at Edisto, but for some reason it seems to be lots and lots of shells along the beach. I can even remember having seen all these shells some 30 years ago when we came through. It must be just the way the water comes along the coast here, but it's like lots of oyster shells, lots of conch shells, or whelks I guess they're called here. And if you look all the way up the beach, shells, shells, and more shells.
If you're more interested in fishing, there's a nice boat launch near the campground too.
This is the boat ramp at the park. I think it's the only one at the park, and it's not exactly in the camping area. It's about a couple of miles down the road, but not terribly inconvenient. It's a nice looking ramp, and they do warn you that at low tide, I mean, you can still put in at low tide, but I don't know if you can tell, but the ramp steepens quite a bit at the end here, so you know, to enable boats to get in at low tide. They have a pier right over here. I'm not sure exactly. Doesn't look like a place where you could tie up very easily, but and it's got no fishing signs on it, so I don't know exactly what it's for.
Spot-tail bass, sea trout, sheep's head, tarpon, and flounder are among the most popular game fish. There are plenty of charters nearby too, and you can also rent kayaks.
Yeah, we tend to think of this place as being a little remote because that's the way it was when we were here 30 years ago, but there's the town of Edisto itself, which was nothing when we were first here, is pretty grown up. I mean, it's got 4 or 5 good restaurants.
And it's got new housing. It's got a big marina, and it's got a big hotel complex at the one end of the far end of the island.
Yeah, I think one of the big hotel chains moved in and built a big hotel.
I think there's a golf course there too, maybe. But,
yeah, well, it looked like part of a golf course, and well, they have a driving range too.
Yeah, right. But there are a couple other good things to see. We went out to what's called Botany Bay Preserve and Plantation, and it's part of a wildlife management area. It's about maybe 8-10 miles, but it's a real cool little place. You can go on a driving tour around see where the plantation was, but the other cool part was the Boneyard Beach.
Go out to the boneyard. Yeah, that was. You drive out before you actually start taking the motor tour. You take a little right-hand turn and go out to a parking lot where you can walk out to the beach. It's about
less than half a mile. Yeah, not quite. It's an easy walk. It's all hard-packed sand. So
and once you get there, you can see all of the driftwood washed up on the shore. It was really amazing. Yeah. It looked a lot like a boneyard.
Actually, it's not even really driftwood. It's trees that were once along the shoreline have now sort of fallen down from the tides and weather and all that kind of stuff.
There's been a lot of erosion along the beach.
But there's also a little section near the boat launch that's called the Indian Mound Shell Mound, or Indian Shells Mound.
Well, it's actually called Spanish Mound.
Right.
But it was at one time 20 foot tall, and it was made entirely out of oyster shells by the indigenous people here.
Like 4,000 years ago.
Yeah, 4,000 years ago. So unfortunately,
a couple of hurricanes.
The erosion problem again, and half the mound is gone, so it won't be here much longer.
There are some, you can still see some remnants of the shell, but it's kind of an easy walk, and it's kind of a cool place to go out and look.
Yeah. We're walking down to the Indian shell mounds now at Edisto. This is about, maybe 2-3 miles from our campground. Okay, this is what's left right now of what they call the Spanish Mount. It was a indigenous people's construction of about 4,000 years ago. and it stood all the way up until maybe around 2017 or so. That's what we're told anyway, when this piece of it collapsed off, and you can see that they've put a makeshift sort of bulkhead down below in the water to keep the water from eroding the rest of it away.
You can still see some of the shells.
Yeah, they said that the mound was built out of oyster shells. And we walked over to the other side now. You can see where the face of the mound just sort of sloughed off, and there are remnants of it down here.
Next stop, the Botany Bay Plantation and Boneyard.
This is the road into the Botany Bay Plantation Wildlife Management Area. It's a dirt road. Farther back it looked like it had flooded and they were doing some work on the ditches. The road was kind of slick and muddy in a couple of places. But this is it, and there's about 3 miles of this if you want to go back into it. This iron gate here marks where the plantation was.
And number 3 here says this is where the Bleak Hall Plantation was, where they had stuff here in the 1800s. Another part of this drive, we stop here and it's the ruins of a past the Sea Cloud Plantation that used to be on the property near here. And I guess it grew same as the other stuff, wheat and sunflowers, and not much left to it, just a lot of bricks.
These are called the Upper Ponds. They were formed by this road that goes through here.
Yes, it's a dike.
Yeah, it's a dike with a road on it. And they diked up some of this area in order to form dry land that they could grow cotton on. And apparently the cotton that they grew here was called Sea Island cotton.
Yeah.
Sea Island. And it's the rarest cotton in the world and considered to be the most luxurious cotton because of its uniformity and softness and the length of the strands of the plant. So it was must have been quite the commodity back in the 1800s.
Well, we made it to the end of the road. It was about 3 miles of dirt road and bumpies to the Botany Bay Reserve here, and now we're going to go out to Boneyard Beach. And before you go out, it tells you when the tides are, so I don't know how much of the beach you'll see because it says at 11:30 is high tide, and it's about 10:30. This is the walk out, and marshes. It looks, the water is pretty high today. A lot of times you don't see anything but mud.
In a little bit of a hurry because I want to catch it before the tide's completely in and covers everything up. Seeing my first peak of ocean right now. So we're almost there. About a third of a mile back here.
I don't know if maybe we should have planned this a little better because it's high tide. We'll see how much we can see. Might have to go through there. But this is what they call the Boneyard. Wow. Look at that. Walking through the jungle of palm trees out to the other part of the beach. You can see some more stuff.
The ranger out there said probably in another 20 years most of that beach area will be gone, and this salt marsh might also be underwater permanently.
Then it was time for us to skedaddle before we wound up in the Boneyard too. We left Edisto Beach in our rearview mirror, but not before seeing some pretty spectacular sights. We hope you enjoyed it too, and as always, we'll see you down the road.
Stop, stop, stop!